Hey everybody, John here from Talladega Superspeedway in the Class B series. We are going to race 30 laps here, which is a little bit of a surprise. Most of the races in Class B have been half distance, and so 30 laps. I think the Xfinity race was 120 laps, so I was fully expecting about 60, but we got 30, which is pretty much a sprint. So that should make things pretty interesting. I'm assuming guys are just going to start this race in a very impatient mood. And at Talladega, that tends to end poorly for everyone involved. But, whatever. It's a game. So
usually
we're gonna
spotter off for these races.
Yeah, we're gonna see what happens and see if we can have a little bit of fun and try and get a decent finish. I don't like restrictor plate tracks to race on. Honestly, they're kind of boring.
I don't know if anybody heard me earlier.
And yeah, I've got the
color of your pit crew
other people, the team speak or the chat on, because
yes, there is.
You kind of sometimes you need it here because your spotter is not very good. And he's not going to tell you what's going on all the time. It's just, it just helps. So sorry about that. It's kind of obnoxious, and these guys are fairly talkative here on the caution laps. But yeah, the super speedways, I was having so much fun learning the short tracks. There's so much to them, and then you come here and you're just holding it wide open all the way around. It doesn't matter where you're entering, where you're exiting. You're just flooring it all the way around the track. Qualified third. And I'm going to try and get a good start here behind the 15.
Green.
And honestly, I'm in third place, so I'd really just like to stay up in the top 5. You don't want to make your real move here until, 3-4 to go, so it's all a matter of making sure you're where you want to be by the end of the event.
Stay low, there's a car on the high side.
So we get a fairly decent restart, and I don't know what that is, the 14, who's up next to me, pushes the 8 before I can really get to the bumper of the 15. Yeah, and whatever, Mike, shut up. Nobody cares what you think. And they get out in front, but oh well. That's kind of how things went today, too, in the Cup race, where the outside line seemed to have the advantage on the restarts. But we're in single file now. My goal here is to stay in single file. I'm not interested in getting up and leading this race right now. I just want to stay out of trouble. And if we can stay 1, 2, 3 for 25 laps, and then I can start making moves, I'm fine with that. Like, that would be the ideal scenario. But I have a feeling that is not what is going to happen. This race really ended up being a battle of attrition. A lot like the race today, where you saw guys just torn to pieces by the end of the race. Austin Dillon, who had a great race. I thought he was I thought he had a legitimate shot at winning until he wrecked the first time. And then he wrecked a second time, and the entire front of his car was all duct tape. And he still made a run at the lead on the last lap. It was amazing. So the goal here, that I think I heard a stat at the end of the race, was 33 of the 40 cars in today's Cup race were involved in a wreck in one way, shape, or form. And a lot of those guys were involved in 2 wrecks. So, like I said, the goal here is just going to be to keep our nose as clean as possible. I get the feeling there's going to be incidents, and here you see the outside lines developed. I'm okay with that. It's too early. Yeah, it's only a 30-lap event, but it's too early to pull up and throw the block right now. Let's just hang out. But nope, the 15 doesn't want to hang out. He wants to go up there and see what's up. So I'm just going to come up here to this number 8 up in front of me, this Mustang, and we're going to run with each other and let them duke it out. But they're going to push it. Looks like they're going 3 wide. And that's what happens. That's what happens when you're an idiot. And I just get bounced around like a pinball. through the grass. Hooray, 3 laps. 3 laps in, and they're trying to go 4 wide. Just dumb. And that's one of the big reasons why I don't like this track in iRacing. It's a lot of fun. It can be a lot of fun. Let me rephrase. I could see this track being a lot of fun if you could get some dudes on it who weren't a bunch of idiots. But you're always in a race, and there's always dudes who are like, oh, it's lap 2. I need to go split these cars and make it 4 wide because the race is going to be over soon. And they don't realize that 30 laps at Talladega is a long, long way. Like, that's a long way, 2.5 miles a lap. So, you know, this is the biggest track NASCAR races on. Even 10 laps is a long way. You're talking about 10 minutes of racing, whereas at Bristol, you're going to run 40 laps in 10 minutes, you know. But guys just get really impatient, and they do dumb stuff like that. So now we're all banged up, and looked like they got a lot of the field. I mean, that was right up in the front. So at this point, our stay up front, keep our nose clean strategy has not paid off. And we're just going to have to come in, repair the damage, and hope we're going to be okay. I'm holding it to the floor right now, and you can see I'm not fast. So
nobody has to wait for anybody to get up to the field.
Our hope is, or my hope is that I can get in, get the damage fixed, and maybe at least be good in the draft at this point. So I'm going to come in, fix the damage, and I think it's going to give me about a minute and a half of repair, which isn't too bad, and then we'll come back out. But between now and then, let's see what happened on that last caution as I look for my pit stall here, and there it is. So here we go. You see these 2 white cars up on the outside. The 17 just tries to come down. I think those 2 are working together, and they wreck the whole field. They just wreck the whole field. And I'm glad that you see the 17 is the one tumbling down the backstretch, or the through turn 1 on the infield there. I'm glad he got taken out. That was just an idiot move. He didn't want to part with his little drafting partner buddy that he'd been racing with. He comes down just like the 15's not there, and screw everybody. You know? And that's partially he's an idiot, and that's partially the spotters in this game aren't very good. You know, they don't always tell you. I don't know that he knew he was 3 wide, but still, not even close to clear. And, you know, half the field involved on the 4th lap of the race. So that guy's a moron. But that's what happens here at Talladega.
Ready?
So we're gonna make the most of it here, and I'm just at this point now just hoping I can keep up. Hoping not to lose the draft because of the damage that I've got in the car.
Cars in. Green flag, green flag.
Coming down to green. And here we go.
Inside. Stay high. There's a car on the low side. You're up top 3 wide. Inside. You're 2 wide there. Clear low, clear low.
And that's an example. He's cleared me low. He says clear low, but I don't trust the guy. So I take a look, and I decide just to stay up in the high line anyway. I kind of prefer it up here. You can see more. So it was a little easier to race up on the high side. When you're down low, you're very much boxed in between that yellow line and the cars on the top side. So that's pretty tough.
Got 1 inside. Stay high. There's a car
The
on the
racing
low side.
this weekend, I watched both of them, the Xfinity Series race and the Cup race, and both were pretty good. Surprisingly good, actually. I thought the Xfinity race was the worst of the 2, but not by much. But both of them, both of those races, there were cars that went right here in this portion of the track, getting turned on the backstretch, going down to the inside, down there to the inside safer barrier, and just clobbering that wall. There are some scary, scary wrecks in both races, and everybody walked away. So that's really a testament to the safety standards that NASCAR has put into these vehicles. There were some wrecks today. The hit Danica took today on the inside wall on the backstretch.
All clear, all clear.
There was a point in time where you weren't going to walk away from that. You know, it might not have killed her, but she would have been cut from that vehicle if that wall had been concrete. That would have looked a lot like what Kyle Busch broke his legs on in Daytona last year. So kudos to NASCAR for their efforts in putting in safer barriers. Just a really smart thing.
They on those bumps coming out of the corners.
Here you go. Somebody doesn't want to be bumped coming out of the corners. These cars get really, really loose in the draft. I don't know if it's because it takes the air off the front end, and there they go.
Dang it.
Stay high.
Hi, number 13. Why, hello, number 8.
Pit road is closed. Past the 1 car. Catch the 1
So there we go.
car.
Caution
Catch
number
the
2.
Car. Catch the 11
I seem to have been
car.
able to keep up fairly well. I'm not sure.
Past the 8 car. Catch
And the 8,
car.
not pleased with the 13 at all.
Race car middle 1 and 2.
Catch the
But
2 car.
picked up a little more damage there, so things are going really well.
Whoever that guy was.
Been involved
Good
in
job.
both of the incidents thus far.
I
And,
claim that one.
Catch the 1
I don't know.
car.
This
13, excuse me.
This place has a lot of luck. A lot of luck involved here.
No, I just got loose.
Pit road is now open.
You hear him, the number 13, saying he just got loose. That happens in the draft a lot here in these cars. I didn't drive the trucks here at all this week. And I've never driven the A cars, the Cup cars here. But these Xfinity cars, when you get a car in front of you, especially, like I said, I think it must take the air off the front end, and it does not want to turn going into the corner. So you really feel like you're skating
Took a lot of air off my butt.
going into the turn, really putting a lot of wheel into it. And then anytime you're putting a lot of wheel into these cars, once those tires grab, once they hook up, all of a sudden you're going to snap back loose.
I only have
So
37 seconds option.
maybe that's what happened. I don't know. Either he also had a guy behind him, so it could have been taking the air off the rear spoiler. But they're a lot more unsettled to drive in the draft than I thought they would be. So that was actually pretty fun. It made things interesting because just holding the accelerator down all the way around the track, now that's a little boring. So we have 1 second of additional repairs here, which we'll get done. We're going to take 4 tires and get back out there and see if we can't salvage a halfway decent finish. Honestly, at this point, the more guys wreck, the better for us, because we're going to be moving up due to others' misfortune. And here's what happened. It looked like the 8 kind of just, or not the 8, that yellow car kind of got upset there. I don't know if he clipped the apron, got up into him, and he just probably overcorrected. And
Get ready.
those things happen here. That's really, I'm not going to blame anybody for that. Nobody was doing anything stupid. It looked like the guy on the inside made the mistake, and everybody else, the other 3 of us, kind of paid for it. But that's just, those things happen here. It wasn't anybody being
All right,
just
man.
stupid
Base cars in.
and trying to drive over their head or whatever. Just stuff that happens. So here we are. We're going to go back to green again.
Green flag, green flag.
And again, I
Take it,
find
man.
myself
You're
behind
top
this
man.
15 car, and I'm just not
Got one
sure
inside.
what I've got right now.
Stay high. There's a car on the low side. Stay high.
Having a hard time coming up to speed.
All
You
clear.
can tell I'm a
all
little, just not as quick as I was at the beginning. So hopefully I can hang on to this lead pack and, I don't know, maybe push somebody, but I don't think we're going to be able to get out and lead at all. The fact that I've taken a lot of damage, at first, when I raced this race, which was before today, I took a lot of damage, obviously, and then was able to keep up with the lead draft. And I kind of chalk that up to, well, that's more arcade. You know, that seems like a more arcade element of this game where you can take that much damage and still be fast and still be able to do something like this. You know, pull up on somebody's bumper, pull out, and try and pass them. But then I watched the race today, and man, a lot of those guys had just, I mean, they were Frankenstein cars running around. Everybody was involved in something, and everybody could keep up with the guys who had no damage. So, I don't know. Maybe iRacing has it modeled pretty closely.
Say hi, there's the car on the low side.
Yeah, today's race was
Say hi, there's the car on the low side.
crazy. That was a good race. That was, I think, that was the best race I've seen this season. Probably, hands down. At first, I was a little worried. We saw those 4 and honestly 5 Gibbs cars kind of get together in the beginning of the event, about 20 laps in, and I thought, oh, this is over. They're going to do just what they did at Daytona. It's going to be the 4 or 5 of them whenever they get nose to tail, and nobody's going to pass or whatever. And wasn't the case. Was not the case. A lot of good racing. A lot of passes for the lead, and legitimate passes. It wasn't just guys getting lucky and getting up there. It was a lot of vehicles were fast, and that was fun to watch. It's been a long time. You know, those Toyotas have dominated the last 4 races in a row, so it's been a long time since we've gotten to turn on a race and see actual competition. And we saw that today. We saw the Chevys, you know, the Hendrick guys were fast. The Childress guys were fast. That was really cool to see. Austin Dillon very, very quick today. The Fords, the Roush guys, were really good today. It was great to see Trevor Bayne up there. I think that kid is just, it's hard not to root for him after, you know, all he's been through. I was actually at the 500 that he won a couple years ago. And then, of course, it comes out he had MS, and just, you want to see good things happen to him. He seems like a really nice kid, and, you know, it was really good to see him run up front. He's had a tough time in Cup. And honestly, all the Roush guys have had a tough time over the past couple of years. And I've never been a big Roush fan. In fact, there was a point in time where I absolutely could not stand Roush at all. And I actually texted my dad today. I was like, it feels really weird. I'm pulling for a Roush car. But it's just good to see him back up front. You know, it's one thing that it'd be like Gibbs. I'm not a Gibbs fan either. I think I've made that pretty clear. But if Joe Gibbs Racing were suddenly to fall off the face of the planet, like Roush has done over the last couple of years, you'd want to see them come back up. It's fun to have guys to root against. It's fun to have guys, to have multiple teams that are very good. That's what makes the sport good. And that's the big problem I've had with what the Gibbs cars have been able to do thus far, really over the last 30 races, is nobody else has been able to touch them. And that's not a good product. It's not something that's good to watch. And that is certainly not going to help you attract another sponsor for next year, NASCAR. So, yeah, I found myself really, really hoping that the Roush guys would get a good finish, except for Biffle. I don't like him at all. That guy. Screw him. No, but it was good to see Trevor Bayne up there. Kyle Larson was up there. I was really, really hoping Larson was going to get the win. He got caught up in that late wreck at the end. It was so disappointing. That guy just deserves a win. He's so talented, and I love, you know, Waltrip and the guys up in the booth saying, oh, this is the guy we've been waiting on to win, and he really hasn't shown us anything. Well, he's driving for a crap team. I mean, Ganassi Racing, they have garbage. I guarantee this is going to be, they might be competitive at Talladega again in the fall and at Daytona in July, but that's it. Those guys do not bring good cars to the track. That 42 has never, ever been a top running car consistently week in and week out, and he's done more with it than Juan Pablo ever did. But it's just not good equipment. Not good equipment. And he's so talented. I would love to see him. I would have loved to see him win today, but that didn't happen. And it really, really looked like for a little while we were going to get, you know, a first-time winner.
Still there.
Or a
3 wide.
first-time winner in a long time. It looked like Bain or Kyle Larson were going to win that race for a long time. And that didn't play out, but it was nice to see those dudes running up front. The Fords were really strong today. I thought the Penske guys were, you know, Logano and Keselowski, they've been struggling this year. And they were up front. And obviously Keselowski won, but they were real strong all race. So who knows, maybe they've turned a corner, but it's just so hard to judge
Stay high.
on, you know, Talladega. You can't judge anything on what happened at Talladega.
You got one inside.
It's its own animal. It's not indicative of who's fast, who's not.
All clear, all clear.
So high lap traffic.
Which is part of what makes it so fun. Part of what makes it such a fun track to watch. And you see this lap car here is really making this interesting.
You got one inside. All clear.
I'm going to try and follow this number 1, and I'm able to move up in this draft, and the 20 is going to push me. That was part him doing that and part me just giving him the room to do that.
Clear low, clear low.
So he pushes me up 3 wide. I get kicked out of the draft. Luckily, it's not far to fall back because so many cars have a lot of heavy damage, so I'm just going to fall back to the tail end of this draft. Or the tail end of this little pack. Fall back in line behind the number 5 and see what we can't do. That top side line seems to be moving. It's also a lot easier to dodge accidents on the top line. So I've kind of made the decision that I would prefer the top line. And like I said before, it's easier to see, but it also moves well.
You got one outside.
And you see here, when you're on the inside line, you're just boxed in. You got nowhere to go. One of those guys loses it, comes down into you. You're just done.
Still there. You're clear high, clear high.
Here you go, me and this number 1 car, we're both pretty damaged in that first accident, and we both had similar ideas, just in the opposite directions. He wanted the low line, I wanted the high line, and we switched lanes almost at the exact same time. As the low line checked up, I think must be the high line was too, so luckily we didn't get into each other at all. And there you see that high line seems to be moving, so I'm going to try and really suck up to the back bumper of this 1 car. And that is one thing the damage seemed to affect, how it seemed to affect my car, is it made it really, really hard for me to close in on the back bumper of this car in front of me. Before it happened, it was a matter, you really had to let off and drag the brake sometimes to keep from just running the guy over in front of you, because in the draft, that's what would happen. And there they go. The 12 just comes down across the 15's nose, and the 20 just comes up and says, I would like this top line.
Hold your line. You got one inside.
I'm not going to blame the guy, but, I mean, come on. I don't know. I don't know. Can't get too mad about it, but I picked up a little more damage, so hooray for me. But I also picked up 2 spots. So here I am, riding in 5th place, and after the way this race started, I did not think this was going to be a possibility. So now we're coming in 5th place, laps winding down in this event.
Good job. The next car.
We're going to try and we're firmly in a position to go for a win. I just don't think we're in a car, or I don't think I'm in a car that can contend for a win. I get out in the air, and I'm really a lot slower than these guys who don't have damage. The 20 doesn't have damage. These 2 white cars, I don't know if they have damage. They do now. So here we go. Got a big run on the 20. He had to check up for those 2 cars, but I hit that air, and I am not great. Not great. So he's going to be able to come back on the inside. And there we go. 1, 2, 3. A 3-car breakaway at the front of the track. So I'm solidly in the top 3 now, which is much, much better than I thought I was going to do. Could have run past the 1 there, but he was behind the 20. So unless I could pass both of them, there was no way that ended well for me. So I'll fall in line here, and my goal, at this point, I've realized that my car's not good if it's not behind another car. So I'm going to try and push the one because the 20 pretty much tried to run me into the wall. I'm going to try and push the one to the win and hopefully get a second place. That's what I'm going to try and do here in the closing laps. And if they both screw up and wreck, then maybe I can grab a win out of it, steal a win. But for right now, the one's my guy. Unfortunately, he's a blinking guy, so that makes things a little bit difficult.
That car is a lap down.
Seeing here, if I could just close on his bumper out of the corner, we might be able to have something for this 20 car down the short chute here. And right there, I called him on the
It's okay.
called him on the radio and told him I was trying. I just had so much damage I couldn't get to his bumper.
I don't want to, but I'm kind of wet.
So at least now he knows I'm going with him. Maybe we can put something together for this 20 car, who seems to be able to work the draft pretty well. He's a little bit reckless, tends to run into people. I've seen him do it a couple times this race, but and there we go, sucking right up to the bumper. That number 1 car gonna really try and push him into the lead. But he should have gone. He should have just cut down in front of the 20. I'd have let him. I wouldn't have held it against him. My car is pretty much junk, and the furthest I'm going to go back is the 3rd right now. So it's not like he's really truly hanging me out to dry. But I did appreciate that he was trying to stick with me.
Stay high. Clear low. Clear low.
So here we come down. We're going to take the white flag. 1 is in the lead, and the 20 is in second. I am in a very, very close 3rd. I'm going to try. We're going to try and get the best possible finish we can out of this thing. And again, considering how this race started, getting wrecked right about there, you know, sliding down through those grass, bouncing off of other cars, this has been a pretty successful race. Sucking right up to his back bumper. You give him a little tap here down the back stretch. Let off into the corner. And he's got the 20 now. He just needs to pull down. He just needs to pull down and stop that 20 from coming. There he goes. The 1's able to pull down. I am on my own. But then the 20 pulls back to the outside of the 1, and I'm going to try and push him across the line, and the 20 just cuts him off and wrecks. So there we go. Bringing it home 3rd. Really an exciting race, a fun race to drive in, which
great job, driver.
I raced, I think, 3 of these this weekend, and 2 of them were really, really frustrating. And this one was just fun. But yeah, then you have the guy like that.
Good win, guy.
Did not care for how the 20 finished that race. The 1 had a run on him.
Enjoy the guys.
And he just took him out. Just straight up took him out. But, I guess that's iRacing. That is what happens here at Talladega and iRacing when you get a bunch of amateurs together, especially on a Friday night when you don't know who's been drinking how much of what and how that's going to affect their driving. But yeah, we brought it home in 3rd place, which is great. Back up in the top 5, so that's 4 races now in the Xfinity cars. 2 3rd place finishes, 1 5th, and 1 7th. So this series goes to Vegas next weekend, which is weird. So I'm going to try and find something at Kansas. I'm going to try and find a series that's running at Kansas and run that race this week. I'm not sure that I'm going to be able to do that. I'm going to be fairly busy with some family stuff, but we'll try and run a race at Kansas this week. It's not going to be in this series, though, because these guys, like I said, are going to go to Vegas. But until next week, guys, thanks for watching. Keep it out of the fence.